Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Wrestleview Live number 121. We are talking about WrestleMania 40 Part 2, featuring probably one of the happiest endings to WrestleMania probably since WrestleMania 30 when Daniel Bryan won, which was 10 years ago. Oh, my word. Michael Cole said it best at the end of the show. Damn it. I love professional wrestling, and damn it, I really, really do. I agree with him completely. Watching this show tonight reminded me why I am such a fan of pro wrestling and why I've stuck with it through these horrible years of Vince McMahon booking. Oh, so it was worth it to get to this point. I love it. So I'm not here to talk about myself. Obviously, I got right next to me the greatest SmackDown recapper of all time, first ballot Hall of Famer, I would say, in my book. I want to talk to Paul about that. Mr. Roy Nemer. Roy, how are you this evening?
Thank you, Mike. You're too kind. I'm doing great. How could I not? Did you not watch the main event? Did you not watch night 2 of WrestleMania or even night 1 this entire weekend? Insane is pretty much the word. Just on cloud 9. And I thought about literally what you just said, sitting through the difficult times with Vince and the booking. It's all worth it with the new era. It really is.
And oh no, my mic's a bit iffy in and out. I don't like that. I just got this new Yeti, this blue Yeti. So I don't know. Roy, can you hear me just fine?
I could hear you. It's weird. It's like certain spots. It fades in a little bit, fades out. Sometimes it does it. Sometimes it's not. But I could hear you.
All right. Well, I'll just keep trying, and we'll see what happens. But my voice itself is a little spotty tonight, so we'll keep trying. It might be.
It's probably in the settings. It's probably in the settings somewhere.
I think it's actually StreamYard. They have the echo cancellation on.
That's probably why.
Maybe that's it. I don't know. I just turned it off. See what happens. Or it says automatically adjust mic volume. I don't know. I turned it all off. See what happens.
We'll see what gives.
We'll see. But I'm just gonna keep going. This show really was about ushering in, and we didn't know it until we got to this weekend when Paul Heyman started the Hall of Fame ceremony, his Hall of Fame speech. The first about third of his speech was putting over people, but most specifically, he put over Paul Triple H Levesque for coming in the ashes of what Vince McMahon left behind in the last few years of his booking. And even Bayley mentioned it tonight on the press conference as I was getting ready for this whole thing. Just setting up and listening to that in the background. She was even saying like, God, there was a, I knew when I came back at SummerSlam 2022 when Triple H had just taken over that the mood in backstage was completely different, and it felt like there was hope again. That is such an indictment of what Vince McMahon was doing. People were hopeless.
And now they're all talking about it.
And now the cuffs are off. They can say whatever the hell they want. They can be as honest as they want. I mean, you had Pat McAfee saying "holy shit" on commentary tonight. Commentary feels so free and easy. Juan, leave me alone. It feels so free and easy. What?
I think it's Nafis is probably right. There might be some frequency or something. I'm not entirely.
Are you not able to hear me at all?
I can hear you. It's just a little bit distant now.
Oh, that's weird. How's this? Do I have to be like right on top of this thing?
There you go. Now I can hear you very well.
Okay. Well, I will stay. I will talk right into it then. I guess that's what I have to do. Okay. Anyway, so, this new era that Triple H is ushering in, I didn't really realize that like they were thinking of this as like a brand new era. I mean, like it felt like a new era in our hearts just because, Vince was gone, that to me is a humongous deal. That was so good. But this whole weekend was really just about, like the new graphics, the new presentation, the commentary, bringing it like a more sports feel. Everybody just seems so happy. It's the Paul Levesque era. They're all talking about it. I mean, Cody Rhodes finishes his story in the main event, defeats Roman Reigns. The story is finished, a perfect ending that we've all been waiting for. They told this story to utter perfection in this main event. Maybe the best WrestleMania main event of all time. In the immediate aftermath, that to me is like it's one of the best that I've ever seen.
It's
because you're taking something that lasted for 1,300 days. Like the only way it could have ended was with this gigantic spectacle, and they gave it to you. And then at the end, they gave you the finish that you've been waiting for. Cody Rhodes is finishing his story, presents the title to his mother, and the one of the first things he does is calls out Bruce Pritchard, which probably made Ronda Rousey very, very upset, and Triple H, Paul Levesque, to the ring because he wouldn't be here without them. And how he's just brought in this new era and he's the leader of it. It just felt tonight was such a special night. Oh God. Like I can't wait to talk about Cody finishing the story because this main event was bananas.
I was very much enjoying the main event even before the interferences, like the run-ins from Jimmy and Solo and everybody else, The Rock. I was enjoying it. I thought it was solid, but that you're talking about The Rock, you're talking about The Undertaker, you're talking about Jimmy, Jay, John Cena, everybody. It had everything. Absolutely everything. And it is a new era. It feels like it. I don't think we get this kind of main event under Vince McMahon. I truly don't. And dare I say, Cody probably doesn't even finish the story under Vince McMahon. Obviously, we'll never know, but this had everything. This truly had absolutely everything.
Yeah, I mean, look, just looking at how the main event played out, it was a, by the way, long main event. They definitely gave it some time. I'm trying to get the time of it right now. 33-minute main event.
Yeah.
But with entrances and everything, this was over an hour of content by far. And then the celebration was just super, super long. Yeah, Daniel Schell's right. You'd have gotten Roman versus Rock under Vince McMahon. They never, ever would have pivoted from that. Ever.
No.
Because Vince never trusted the people that he had on his roster full time. He always went, running back to the legends when he thought, oh, we can't make money with the people that we have on the roster right now. Well, you know why? Because you suck at booking them. Nobody could get over.
Look at, for the longest time, we were talking about this before Triple H took over. WWE, you just mentioned it, they kept going to older stars, previous generations. Ironically enough, even like, The Undertaker, and you get Kane for the Royal Rumble and whatever. Because they couldn't develop these stars, look at somebody like Damian Priest. Where he was at to where he's at now. I listened to him talk at the press conference.
It was a beautiful story. Unbelievable story.
Saying he was homeless 10 years ago and like that entire thing. And him under Vince, the booking of the Judgment Day under Vince when that first got started was horrendous in every sense of the word. And now look at where we are a year and a half later, or maybe 2 years later. Look at where we're at with them.
Right. He talked about like, when that Judgment Day formed and it was under Edge, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a disaster, like Edge was like,
right.
I don't know what the hell was going on there, but like he was trying to be like a vampire or something like that. And, you had Rhea Ripley in it. I was like, God, like, I cannot believe they're going to waste Rhea Ripley again. Like this should have been like her launching platform and they're wasting her again. Then all of a sudden Vince goes away at the beginning of July 2022. And the Judgment Day really took off at that Madison Square Garden Raw when when they kidnapped Dominic at first, and Rhea Ripley like emerged like just in one night. The presentation changed so dramatically.
Yeah.
I thought Damian Priest was dead in the water when he was facing Miz in that zombie match. When they had him go on that year-long, winning streak, and he gets the United States title, and they kept building him as like this guy, but he had no personality. He wasn't allowed to do anything. He was doing flips that were not working out, and he was almost killing himself all the time. All it did was a year of shoving him down your throat, and then Vince gave up on him. When there was something there definitely was something there. Vince was not wrong about that, but he could not, at 76 or 77, however old he was when he was at the end of his full-time booking career, he couldn't get it out of them anymore. He couldn't book compelling stuff. No. He couldn't book stuff that made any sense week to week, let alone build an entire career for somebody. So I thought Damian Priest was dead. And then when they did the thing with Edge and the Judgment Day, I was like, God, like this feels like the end of the road. This felt like, Mustafa Ali, when they did the Retribution thing. I was like, oh, this is so bad. This is a career ender.
Yeah.
And Triple H took this group, including Rhea Ripley, one of the faces of the new era now, turned it around completely.
Yeah. She's the face, at least for the women. She's, along with Bianca, I think, the face of the new women era, the new women's era. Sorry.
Yeah.
He's done a great job with them. Look at what he did with. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm saying, and Grash even mentioning that, never mind about the work in NXT, that Vince threw that all out and did something new.
Yeah, NXT 2.0.
Yeah, and that was a disaster.
Yeah. Look at what Triple H did with Dominic. Look at what he's done with Rhea. Look at what he's done with Damian. Even Finn Balor, to a certain degree, he's done pretty well, right? You have JD McDonough in there that added a little, twist to it. R-Truth.
Yeah, I think Finn's done even better than just okay. He's really again, that's another one whose career is completely turned around. The only time he was ever interesting on the roster under Vince is when Vince had him doing the demon thing. Mm-hmm. And instead of understanding what that character was, that the demon was his war paint and the way that he psyched himself up for big matches, like Vince turned him into a literal fucking demon. Mm-hmm. Like it had to be a literal demon under Vince.
Yeah. That was Vince McMahon. He didn't get it. He would not get sometimes even his own creations, right? I know obviously Finn Balor, the demon thing was before Vince, but even his own things, he didn't understand. But here we are, I guess a full year later since Vince has been gone, maybe even a little bit less. Look at where we're at. It feels at one point when they were fighting on the outside during the main event, I just thought to myself, this feels like how it felt, like kind of like during the Attitude Era.
100%. Thought the same thing. It
felt like that. The atmosphere, the crowd, the commentators, Jesus, Pat McAfee, Michael Cole, Corey Graves, specifically Cole, a whole other level tonight. And it feels different. We've been saying it this entire week. The proof is in the pudding.
Look at the stars that were there tonight. I mean, like there were major, big stars, in attendance to see this show. It's become mainstream, and it's not like I don't think they're paying them to be there. I think that like these people are there because they want to be there.
Well, you said it. I mean, Snoop Dogg on commentary. Granted, I thought that was kind of surprising. Like for me, it didn't fit. I'm like, okay. Well,
I loved it.
But it was fun. But it was fun. It was fun. It was that. Bringing back Bubba Ray, that made sense. Philadelphia, street fight, ECW, all that stuff. But the other stars, they showed Vanessa Hudgens. I was in attendance yesterday and again today, and everybody else. They're showing you that, hey, we're getting all these big stars, from Super Bowl or NFL athletes to singers. I mean, yesterday Lil Wayne, and tonight Snoop Dogg. And my favorite part, and we're going to get to that, and maybe we should probably get to it, but in the main event, everybody that was brought back, be it Cena or The Undertaker, it all made sense. All of it.
Everything was like a callback to something. Seth Rollins being in there and I thought Rollins' run-in was really interesting, that he didn't get to really do anything. He came out in the Shield gear, and then Roman Reigns immediately just punched him. He was out.
Well,
And then Roman gets the revenge on Seth Rollins for 10 years ago, the Plan B chair shot to the back. They redid that. It honestly felt like a career closer for Roman Reigns, but I know it's not. I know
full circle. No, it's not. He's gonna take some well-deserved time off, but it was almost like full circle moment.
Yeah, it absolutely was. It was really tying up a lot of loose ends, so far, and stuff that kind of like drove him into this bloodline thing. Like it was all there, and I love the callback to John Cena and The Rock.
It made sense.
It did, and the crowd totally knew what was going on. They got everything. They got everything.
I thought about this kind of like weeks ago, and I think it was Jorge as well when we did. I think it was the prediction show. He even mentioned it. It was kind of like that bold prediction where he said, "Oh, I think John Cena is going to show up and this and that." And I always kind of thought, especially after he said it, I'm like, well, it would make sense, because if they're going to have Cody win the belt, you're going to have Jimmy that's going to come out, and Jay's going to counter that. Solo's going to come out. Maybe Cena's going to counter that, because Cena, that's kind of been his only big feud. The Rock, I really thought it would be Austin. Now, I'm not disappointed it was The Undertaker, not by any means, but I thought it would be Austin. So it all made sense. Like,
you mean the Undertaker that follows you on Twitter, right? Or X.
There you go. Yes, that same Undertaker that only follows like 105 people, and I'm one of them. That Undertaker, yes.
Cool.
Yeah. But, it made sense. Like The Rock being the final boss, and then the Undertaker shows up like, oh, wait a minute, you're the final boss? Like, this is my yard type of thing. Like, who are you? It all made sense. And I love it.
It did. And really, like, if they couldn't get Austin back, I mean, like, who was more WrestleMania than The Undertaker? And by the way, initially we thought The Undertaker's career was over when Roman Reigns pinned him in the main event at WrestleMania 33.
Yeah.
So you got that little bit of a callback there too.
You're right.
Like, who's more Attitude Era than like The Rock and The Undertaker? Like, those two guys are like, God, like,
outside of Austin, it's them.
Synonymous. I mean, like, the only person that could be Mick Foley, and Foley can't move.
No. And honestly, let's say they were to bring him back, he would not necessarily fit in this case. Now it's like The Undertaker. It's WrestleMania. It's like The Rock calling himself the final boss when The Undertaker is the real locker room leader, was at the time. It all came together. And Jorge, there you go. Jorge called it. Yes, he did. I called the opening match for night 2. Yes.
Jorge was on fire. He was on fire, man. Killed it.
Yeah.
Absolutely killed it.
Absolutely killed it. Should we, I guess, just really fully get into the main event at this point?
Let's do it, man. Absolutely, let's do it. Because it was the show. That was what the entire show built to. Everything, like I tried to say, there's only so much you can say on Twitter, but I really tried to like say like this WrestleMania was just laid out so perfectly.
It was
like in years past, WrestleMania Saturday has really been like a tremendous show. Like last year, it really had some great action. It started off with John Cena versus Austin Theory, and it ends with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn beating. Yeah, they are. Nafis is right. They definitely are.
Yeah.
And it ended with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn beating the Usos, the longest reigning tag team champions of all time. And that like, to me, that alone, like as a standalone WrestleMania, was as good as it gets. I thought that was like, just by itself, forget WrestleMania Sunday, that was phenomenal. That would have been enough. WrestleMania Sunday had trouble following that. WrestleMania 38, night 1, we get that awesome KO show segment. We had a great match with Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch on that show. And Stone Cold Steve Austin coming back to wrestling for the first time in 19 years. Night 2 had a hard time following that. It's like they started off the shows like so big that like, like that the second part never like always kind of was just there. To this weekend, we saw that they finally got this whole entire layout figured out, right? And part of it is because you really
Who's
need
there and who's not.
Exactly. You need some people that actually are open to fresh ideas that aren't their own. And, nothing on night one was bad. Nothing on night one was bad except for Jimmy and Jay. That was bad.
Yeah,
that was really bad.
That wasn't good.
That was a bad match.
Yeah.
But nothing like, I think there was almost all great matches. I like the ladder match. Was it the best ladder match of all time? No. But it was damn good. I thought Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch was great. I thought that Sami Zayn versus Gunther was excellent. But nothing blew you away because it has to save for the main event. The tag team main event blew me away. But they didn't, blow their whole load in that match, right? Because we still have WrestleMania Sunday. And WrestleMania Sunday, I thought everything on this card either exceeded expectations or was as good as I thought it was going to be. But nothing blew you away until the main event. And then they blew the whole load. They threw everything at the wall that you could possibly do. So it all built, just like any good wrestling card should do, it all built to one hell of a strong main event. And that's what we got here. It started off with big entrances. Like I thought they were like kind of doing like a Revolutionary War kind of thing with Cody's entrance. What did you make of Cody's entrance?
I didn't get that. And I mentioned to you off air, I was watching it with two of my friends that are, let's say like casual wrestling fans. One of them asked me, he's like, I don't get Cody's entrance. I'm like, yeah, I don't get it either. I did not understand that. I don't know if like you said, like a war thing. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I guess he wanted to have something special, something different, and not just having Brandy by his side.
Yeah. Although she got a good pop, like
she did.
When she appeared by him, like they gave her a pretty good ovation, which is I thought there was still some ill will toward her because of they did too much with her in AEW, and she's not that good.
Yeah.
She really is not.
No. And he's saying Homelander from The Boys, superhero entrance. There you go. Thank you, Andrew.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I don't know what is Homelander from The Boys. I'm sorry, I don't.
I know The Boys. I've heard of The Boys. I think it's on Amazon Prime or something.
Okay. I mean, it was good. I liked it. It definitely felt. But man, when he took that mask off after they finished the Superstar entrance, like his face, Cody Rhodes, the entire time was phenomenal. Phenomenal in his emoting, the way that he was just like laser focused on this gigantic moment.
Yeah.
It was beautiful, and I loved Roman Reigns' entrance too. It was kind of subdued. I mean, like they had the orchestra with him, doing his song in the choir, but other than that, it was just an entrance.
It was, and you know what? I might be in the minority. I don't know. I actually enjoyed Roman's entrance. I thought it was like simple. It spoke like, because it's Roman Reigns. He doesn't need all that stuff behind him, even though he kind of got it, right? But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the simplicity of it. And I know we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but credit to Roman Reigns. I'm guilty of this. We all said, it's getting long. Roman needs to drop the belt already, specifically last year. But what he did, and he was right. I don't know. I think you ended up watching the entire press conference last night on Saturday when he was talking, but he said it like he said, like, when I was away during COVID, I realized something needed to change. And he was really, how can I put this? WWE right now is not where it's at without Roman Reigns the last 3 years.
No question about it. No question.
Considering he was in a dog food fight with freaking Baron Corbin right before COVID to what he's doing now, credit to him. Really credit to him, and a well-deserved time off that he's going to be getting.
Right.
I love it.
I mean, the best idea that Vince had for him at WrestleMania 36 before COVID happened was the
Oh, yeah.
Battle of the Spears with Roman
Yeah.
Reigns and Bill Goldberg. That was the best idea that Vince had for him.
Yeah.
No superstar in the main roster to put over, or look at just a legend, and you just have a match with them and then just kind of move on with your life. No, nothing groundbreaking there. When
The big
he
dog.
walked, but he knew it was time to change, and good for him. But kind of shame on him too, for Vince was booking him strong since late 2014. Really strong. He went into the Royal Rumble, won the Rumble, in 2015, which was not really well received, but it was clear that that Vince wanted him to be a bona fide main eventer. So shame on him for going through years. I mean, God, it took him 6 years to realize that something needs to change, because Vince is not doing for my career what either he told me he was going to do or what, I thought he would do. But thank God he made the change. Thank God that it just so happened that Brock Lesnar was not going to be doing anything during COVID. He was just going to stay in his cabin in Saskatchewan and hunt elk and do whatever the hell it is that Brock Lesnar does in his free time, which, according to a certain lawsuit, is actually kind of disturbing sometimes, I suppose. But Paul Heyman was available, and it's like Roman starts talking to Paul, who he's known since he was a kid, and they come up with this. I mean, it's a humongous credit to Roman Reigns for longevity, for being smart, for finally becoming the worker that I think, again, it's like, Damian Priest. Vince saw something there, but he couldn't get it out of him. He saw something in Roman Reigns, but Vince was well past expiration on how to book a main event babyface. Out of his depth. Could not book a main event babyface for the 21st century. And that's fine. But he should have, shame on him for not knowing that he should have given it up too. But instead he calls Paul Heyman, and they concoct a storyline. And I guess Roman went in there, was just like, look, either we do it this way or we don't do it at all. And all this money you put into me, I'll just walk. He already had Hollywood opportunities. Maybe, he has better opportunities now that he went through this whole entire, mainstream title run, because it really did make it to the mainstream. But he'd have been okay. But God, it's like a testament to Roman Reigns for finally becoming the smart worker that, maybe has always been there and he couldn't get it out under Vince. And also credit to Paul Heyman for really creative genius. Paul Heyman, not many people have had multiple sections of their career that are Hall of Fame worthy. Most people just have a Hall of Fame career. Shawn Michaels, I know it's going to really piss Paul off, but Shawn Michaels had 2 Hall of Fame careers. He's the only other guy that I can really think of. Maybe The Undertaker, because of how many times he reinvented himself. He had Hall of Fame sections of his career as well. But Shawn Michaels broke his back. That first run, if he only did that first run, Hall of Famer. Came back. If you just judge him on his return from the broken back, Hall of Fame second half of his career. But Paul Heyman, from bullshitting his way into ringside at Madison Square Garden as a 15-year-old, taking pictures and selling them to Vince McMahon Sr. and Bill Apter and their magazines, and running his own newsletter in the 80s, to forming the Dangerous Alliance. He ran through his credentials.
Yeah, during his speech.
I mean, God, I had no idea that he was so influential in connecting Mark Calloway to Bruce Pritchard. That led to him becoming the Undertaker. That was incredible. I never knew that. Never.
Yeah.
So just what he did with Dangerous Alliance, Hall of Fame, ECW. If he was just the owner of ECW and did nothing else, he'd have been in the Hall of Fame. He comes back with Brock Lesnar, Hall of Fame. What he did with SmackDown when he had the book for a year and a half, Hall of Fame. And this stuff with Roman Reigns.
And then Lesnar again. And CM Punk and everything.
Right. And CM Punk. Oh my God. Yes, exactly. Hall of Fame. It's like he said, you cancel him 101 times he's going to come back better, smarter, and wiser at 102. And somebody on Twitter tonight said, well, what becomes of Paul Heyman? What does he do next? I said, cancel him 101. He's coming back at 102.
Yeah. Braun Breaker.
It very well could be.
That's my guess. But we'll see with him. That's going to be a while, I think, before we see Heyman back. Probably summer.
Yeah, he's got to take a little break. I mean, he's also smart to know that when
he's been on he does Raw and SmackDown. Like he shows up. Sometimes Roman will take some time off. Heyman's there.
Always, yeah. And
there.
He talked about like how helping out, everybody. I think he's still going to be showing up to the shows, and helping
backstage.
And he's a great influence. And again, like the relationship that he has with Paul Levesque. Vince didn't like Paul for the same reason that he didn't like Bill Watts and guys like that back in the 90s and even in the 80s. When he called in the Cowboy in the mid 90s to try to like help me get this show, organized as I'm going to federal court. He couldn't stand that Bill would walk in there and was like, I have these ideas and we got to do it this way. This is the way we're going to do it. If you don't want to do it my way, then I'm out of here. And he's like, fine, get out. He could not take other strong creative minds.
Yeah.
So him and Paul frequently clashed. And maybe there's a hint of jealousy because maybe Paul Heyman's ideas were probably better than his.
Better, of course.
Paul Levesque is not afraid.
And oh no, at all. And on the topic of Heyman, again, I was watching it with two casual wrestling fans. They kept popping for Heyman's reactions throughout the match. Like during the entrance, him holding the title, him going like this to Roman. Even if you're not a full-time wrestling fan, you're still gonna enjoy greatness that is Paul Heyman. The man is that good at what he does. And we don't get this. Obviously, we don't get this Roman Reigns entire 3.5-year title reign without him. Not even close. Not even close.
I'd like to see Paul Heyman like focus on creating the next Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
Now I don't know how you do that because he seems like a once in a generation talent, and really he's cross generational because he's been around for so long, and really nobody has done it better than he has.
Yeah, that's a difficult one. I don't know. I always feel like that's natural talent. It's something you're born with. And there's only so much you could teach. Is there anybody right now? I don't know.
But if he could identify somebody who's like a good talker that maybe isn't so good in the ring and maybe like say, hey, why don't you try being a manager? And like, I think wrestling could really benefit from more managers, like think about somebody like Andrade. Probably could use a manager. Like I think,
definitely.
Dakota Kai is kind of like Io Sky and the Kabuki Warriors manager. Like, like there are some people that just like Gunther, he can cut a promo, but I think it'd be better if he had like a manager like Ludwig Kaiser kind of is that, but
yeah, it's not the same thing. Not the same thing at all, actually. But
I'm throwing it out there. But anyway,
yeah. Back to the match. What do you think? Do you think the match went? Sorry, let me rephrase this. Do you think the match was well put together up until the, let's say, the run-ins? Because I personally enjoyed it.
Oh my God, yes,
Yes,
absolutely. I mean, I thought they were going to go like over. I thought they might do one too many run-ins, and I thought they would start early. But instead, they basically for the first, I would say 15 minutes, they basically had like your typical wrestling main event. Like there was some good wrestling, throughout. Really good emoting. That really definitely carried it. But the wrestling itself was actually solid. Cody Rhodes is a very good professional wrestler. But they also did some Attitude Era stuff, brawling in the crowd, suplex on the platform, brought in some weapons, but they didn't go overboard. They didn't go overboard on the weapons. And, they did a couple of really good false finishes before anybody even ran in. But, when Cody started hitting those crossroads, that was 22 minutes in the match. Jorge Oliva is like, he is on fire, baby.
He's on it.
Awesome. Awesome. So for the first 20 minutes, I really strong wrestling. And I loved like Roman Reigns, like when he hit the crossroads and he goes,
That was the best.
and he goes, that move stinks. That's not
No
going to
one-
beat nobody.
That's not gonna be nobody. That hilarious.
Yeah, he goes, I just wanted to rub it in his face. He goes, I knew that wasn't going to beat him. I just wanted to rub it in his face. And he was like, cocky throughout. He was really strong. It was kind of interesting that like they really didn't play in at all that there was damage from night one. They didn't really focus on night one injuries. They did in the Seth Rollins match.
Heavily in the Seth Rollins one.
Yeah, but not in this one. Probably because they probably had equal amounts of damage done to them. So there was no point of even bringing it up.
Yeah.
But
with Seth, I think it's because the prior injuries as well. They've been mentioning it for a while. His knee, his back, his neck. But yeah, this one, very little. Like I don't remember them even saying a word about it, actually. You're right.
Yeah. No, they really didn't. And because I think they didn't want to take away and like have somebody say, oh, well, the story they're telling is that Cody Rhodes didn't beat Roman Reigns at his best. They didn't want that. So basically they're coming in here 100%, and they're just throwing it all out there. I loved when he was choking Cody on the bottom rope. And he goes, "This is my company, little bitch." And yeah, that was great. And then he hit a back suplex and he gets a 2 count and he goes, "Oh man, this is feeling like a $3 million bonus." Like I was like, this is so good.
When he was beating up, he would like talk to Paul Heyman. He would talk to him and tell him, "I could do this all night. This is fun. I could do this all day, all night." Roman's great at that. And I don't know if he was doing that before COVID. I don't think he was. I think this was really during the pandemic when no crowd. That's when we heard a lot of wrestlers really, talking smack, so to speak. But Roman took it to another level.
Yeah.
He's great. He's great.
Yeah. But man, when Cody started making that big comeback and it looked like, well, if he started hitting the linked together crossroads finishes, that's when the run-in started.
Yes.
And I was like, you know what? This is perfect time to start. It's like we definitely feel like we're getting to the end of the match. So he's hitting those crossroads. Jimmy Uso comes out first, super kick, which brings out his brother Jay, which if this was the only thing that those two did at WrestleMania, that would be fine. But they had a match and it was not good. I wish they just did this.
That looked like a nasty spot though. I thought they overhit the table or underhit it at one point.
Honestly, like when they took that dive off the ramp, I mean, that ramp was really, really tall. And Jay seemed like he went head first, but he was out there for the celebration at the end, so I'm guessing he's okay.
Seemed fine.
But like, man, like I thought they actually overshot the table because I never heard it break.
But that's the thing. I really thought they just completely missed it. I really thought they completely missed it. But I guess there were 2 tables. They hit the second one and missed the first one, similar to JD on off the ladder.
That's tough. That's tough. And that's a really, really, that was a rough bump. I believe that was a rough bump.
Yeah.
Then you have Solo Sikoa coming out there, and I loved, that they did a spear and a Samoan spike. Well, actually, they recreated the finish from last year when Cody was tying together the crossroads, and then Solo spikes him, and Reigns hits the spear and finish. Rhodes kicks out of that, so that was an excellent callback spot. Then they did a spear and a Samoan spike simultaneously, and Rhodes kicked out of that as well.
I won't lie. They had me for a split second there on that one. The initial Samoan spike by Solo, I knew he would kick out. But the follow-up with the spear, a split second, I'm like, oh, shoot, this is like he's not kicking out.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? That was almost too much. Yeah. I almost think they should have left that one out because it was almost too much for Cody Rhodes to kick out of. But they had him kick out of it. The one thing they didn't want to do was have somebody break up a pinfall for Cody Rhodes. Cody had to kick out of everything.
Yes.
Right? That was smart. The only one who was getting saved the entire time was Reigns. That brought out John Cena in an excellent callback because Solo took him out at, what was it, Crown Jewel? Was that the show?
Yeah, Crown Jewel where Solo beat him. Was it Saudi? I wasn't Saudi.
Yeah, in Saudi. Yep.
Right. It wasn't Saudi.
Yep. I mean, that was a gigantic ovation. He clotheslines him over the top rope, hits Roman with an attitude adjustment. Solo gets an AA through the table, takes him out. And then, if you smell the final boss coming out, and it's a good, like, you could just, they did the perfect camera shot. John Cena, just like the ghost of John Cena's past. You know, perfect. I love that they got in the ring and they did that thing that The Rock and Hogan did before
At WrestleMania 18.
and I think they're in Chicago when they did it, and the crowd is just buzzing as they're standing face to face, and one looks this way, the other looks that way, then they turn around, and then rock bottom. That was so great.
And then he takes off the belt.
Yes.
And this is when I'm like, okay, we got to get somebody to save him. But again, I thought it'd be Austin. I was wrong.
Actually, the next person they send out is the Shield's music hitting. So,
oh, you're right. Sorry, I missed that. I forgot about that.
Right. Yeah. So Seth Rollins in his Shield gear comes out to make a save, and he couldn't do it. They literally had him do nothing.
I feel like they botched it? The camera. I think because we just saw the very end, like we just kind of saw Seth falling.
Well, there was. I think there was like supposed to be a lot of confusion because The Rock was looking around like, what is going on? What is going on?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you see Roman Reigns come running out of, from this angle. It actually made it pretty cool. And then it's like, oh my God, Seth Rollins is right there. He was going to hit him with a chair. And hit The Rock like he hit Roman Reigns.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And credit to Seth. Well, it was a nice callback. They had Seth like with the blonde streak. That was a nice little touch.
Yeah.
Very nice
like,
touch.
I hope they just go back to that Seth because I really can't stand this freaking Rollins guy. But then, so Seth, it didn't work out for him. So that was like a false run-in, which is weird that they used him for a false run-in, but nonetheless. Then all of a sudden, man, I just wasn't expecting it. The bell tolls when that bell hit, man. Ask Victoria, when John Cena came out, I'm recapping, I just stand up. I'm just like, ah, I was like that into it. When Undertaker came out, I jumped. I jumped out of my seat. That's what Victoria told me. I jumped out of my seat.
Yeah, well, dude, I was in shock. I had one of those moments where it was like I couldn't believe it was happening, so my jaw kind of hit the floor. And like the people I was with, one of them was like, dude, put up the volume. Like, this is insane. This was WrestleMania. This, how they say like, oh, this is a WrestleMania moment. This entire match felt like a WrestleMania moment.
Yes.
Honestly speaking, like the entire match felt like a WrestleMania moment. Andrew, yes, Roy's pal, The Undertaker.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It felt like it.
Now Jamel's saying that it was. Yeah, he's saying it was supposed to be Austin, but Austin got sick and Taker was a pivot. I haven't heard that one, but I mean it makes sense. But it, The Undertaker never. I said this, I forget what show I said. I know I said it at some point this week that The Undertaker never got that final goodbye. As a performer, he had a WrestleMania main event to close his career, but it was a cinematic match for an empty arena right at the beginning of COVID.
Yeah,
this was a
shot,
great.
And I think his brother passed away during the filming of that.
The day of, I think, and I was so happy that he was able to be out there and have this moment. It was so great, and even though, when you think of the Attitude Era, there really weren't many Rock Undertaker matches. They definitely did a couple pay-per-views, but there was nothing like they weren't each other's greatest rival. Let's just put it that way. But they definitely, both of them were Attitude Era guys, so it made sense. Austin would have probably been better, but the Undertaker is so synonymous with WrestleMania. Can't go wrong.
No. Can I share something? Just something I have open. Maybe you saw it. This thing here. Where he's like, Dad, why are you so damn loud? And then
I thought your father was texting her. I was like, what is
no,
this?
No. This is the thing. I was like, Dad, why are you crying? Why are you crying so damn loud?
Right.
And it's that moment. It's no, I don't have an iPhone anyways.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
It was just, I mean, man, I got the chills. I mean, I jumped out of my seat.
Yeah.
And when he hit the choke slam on The Rock, And
That's
then
it.
the lights go out and they're both gone. They both disappear. I loved that. It was so great. The only thing left in the ring was the Mama Rhodes belt. Reigns gets the steel chair, gives Rollins the plan B chair shot as revenge. And he goes for a spear. Rhodes kicks him. Crossroads. The end. The story is finished. Man, it's like they peaked it with The Undertaker and they knew exactly when to go home.
Yeah.
And man, the crowd when Charles Robinson's counting that 1, 2, 3, and the pure joy. God, I mean, like everybody got it. They had the crowd with them that entire way.
Yeah. Even Michael Cole was like, finish the story, like on the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even Sam's voice.
She was
Samantha's
crying.
Voice. Yeah. Although I think she missed the word universal. I think she just said
she did. Well, she was just so emotional, like watching this. I mean, like she really. I know that she's not everybody's cup of tea, but she really she earned my respect this weekend. I mean, she really puts her whole heart, soul, body, and voice into every in-ring intro. And the fact that she even had a voice to do the in-ring intros for the main event tonight was incredible.
Yeah.
And, like, I know people think it's corny when they see the videos that they post of her, like, reacting, like that one that they did of The Rock on the New Year's Day, Raw, the Day 1 Raw. And everybody's like, oh, how corny, how lame. Come on, stop being a mark. It's like, shut up.
She's legit a wrestling fan. I think we spoke about this in the past, but there was, I think she had posted something once on X or Twitter or whatever it is. It was a drawing she made of Bret Hart, like back in 97 or 96. And like, she's born in 89. So she grew up as a wrestling fan. She's obviously super talented vocally. So it meshes.
Yeah. I saw a video of her this week playing the flute. She plays the flute and then she was like singing, like, and she was using Razor Ramon's theme song as like the beat. I was like, so she's into it. She loves it. And the fact that, she was so emotional, like really, like, sometimes like, you see something and like I sometimes feel this way when I watch a Yankee game, and everybody knows I'm a Yankee fan. But sometimes I'm like, God, this team is doing so horrible that I want somebody to just somebody on either the broadcast or on the team itself to say, yeah, you know what? This sucks. We need to get better. This is, and it never happens because they're so clean and sterile. I mean, like, I think the reason why they don't win World Series anymore is because they're in Vince McMahon mode right now. Like, it's they'll be right. Like they're good enough. Like Vince built something where it'll always be successful, but it's not going to be great. And you need to have a change of ownership, a change of the GM to get it back to being great. And it's like I want somebody, like, when the crowd is going crazy, to share that emotion with you, and she did that.
That was pure raw emotion. Pure.
Michael Cole was phenomenal, like you said. Like you said, when he did finish the story,
he was a whole other level, especially tonight. Like yesterday, phenomenal. Today was just something else.
And I remember when Cody Rhodes like came out to do his father's Hall of Fame speech.
Yeah.
And it was like, God, like, that's his son. God, he got a good look, and this kid can really talk. He did all the talking. Dustin Rhodes did not do really much talking for Dusty's Hall of Fame. It was all Cody, and he was only like 19 at the time. Tom Van Stone, TBS, just finished watching the main event. Love that.
Nice.
Love
Thanks
that.
for joining us, Tom. Yeah.
But Cody, Michael Cole goes like, I remember seeing him at the Hall of Fame and thinking, like, this kid's got a great look and he can talk. And, we did, web shows together. We went through everything together.
We tag teamed together, he said.
Yeah. Like he had a title match against him or something like that. And he goes to see him now, the man that he is, and finishing the story for his family. Like, like when Cody Rhodes left the ring, and he's done this a couple of times where he's brought Michael Cole in the ring and said, "This is my friend." When he went outside and hugged Michael Cole, and Cole looked at him, his headset was off. They were just having a moment together, and he looked at him. He just goes, "I love you."
I love you. Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
It sucks. I mean, on the topic of Michael Cole, it sucks that I know he still has a couple of years left in him, right? We're not at the tail end, but it sucks that the majority of his career is now behind him, and now he's finally having fun. The shackles are off.
Yeah, sometimes they say though, better late than never.
Of course, of course, definitely.
Like I said last night, like imagine like they took the chains off of him and he actually wound up being a terrible commentator. But
no,
it's sinful like how good he is, and that 23 years in, this is the first WrestleMania, or maybe the second. Maybe he was okay last year, but this is his first or second WrestleMania where he's ever had the gloves off in 23 appearances. That's shame. It's shameful that I do want to ask this. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think he's going to be going to both shows, perhaps, or no, I don't know.
Well, that defeats the purpose of Damian having the title then if he's on both shows. But they have the draft coming up, so we'll see what gives on that.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Rhodes right now is a Raw guy, so I mean, and Raw, they're definitely going to be putting a lot of effort into Raw with the gigantic Netflix deal.
Yes.
So, I think Raw is going to go back to being like that number one show.
Yeah.
Things really feel like everyone with talent, no matter how long they've languished or been second fiddle, they're now getting their just dues on this new leadership. That's what we've been saying all night, TVS. 100%.
Yeah. It's good to be a wrestling fan again. We said it yesterday. We said it on the prediction show, and I think even on the Raw post show, it's good to be a wrestling fan again.
And even like this, like post match celebration with they had the wrestlers come in the ring, they had the family come in the ring. I don't think this happened. I don't even think that kind of celebration happens under Vince. I can't remember the last time there was ever wrestlers in the ring celebrating.
Was there something with? I want to say there was a cash in. Was it Big E or something? Maybe when Big E won the belt.
Maybe,
but it's funny. I saw a picture. It said, or it showed, like WrestleMania 10. It showed Brett and the celebration. WrestleMania 20, that celebration. WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan celebration. Now WrestleMania 40, Cody Rhodes. So it's almost like every 10 years we get that kind of celebration. We get the Lex Luger celebration in the ring.
Well, hopefully it'll be sooner. Now that I am so hopeful for the future of this company. I'm so hopeful for you and I as fans as we watch this. I don't want to get on a podcast and rip the show and talk about everything that's bad about it.
No, I
want to come on and laud the shows. It's not as interesting as me screaming, I suppose, but better for my health. I'll tell you that.
No. I'm getting ahead of myself, but just kind of mentioning it because we're talking about the excitement and how it's good to be a fan again. Tomorrow, or actually tonight's Raw after WrestleMania with no Vince, that's going to be not miss television.
This is going to be like a third night of WrestleMania.
Yeah,
I really think it's going to be unbelievable.
Yeah, it's going to be huge.
So excited to recap Raw tomorrow night. I can't even express.
It's going to be huge. Yeah.
I haven't, honestly, like I have not been this excited in a long. I say that every time there's a big Raw. I mean, day one Raw I was definitely excited for, but this feels like an extra day of WrestleMania. It's just like it's like Christmas morning 3 days in a row if you're a wrestling fan, and if you can't enjoy this ride, if you want to be miserable, God, I really feel
wrestling's not for you. Yeah, wrestling's not for you.
This is as good as it gets, and if you're still unhappy, you need to stop watching. You need to stop.
This is as good as wrestling has been, dare I say, in about 20 years, probably since the Ruthless Aggression.
Probably since WCW got bought.
2001.
And I'm talking like top to bottom wrestling. I'm not just talking WWE now. Like everything seems to be falling into place. Even like like AEW definitely has been lagging because, part of their charm is that they've been, the counter to WWE, but when WWE's red hot, what is AEW's identity? I think they're struggling to find that right now. I think they're going to be doing something edgy with showing the footage of CM Punk and Jack Perry, from All In, which is fine. Like they want to do something, and it is WrestleMania week, and everybody ties their promotions to WrestleMania week, and they try to do something. This is their answer to WrestleMania week. I actually think it's a great idea. I hope it works. I hope it pops a rating, but it's all in the follow up. Like they need to figure out, like what is our identity if we're not the answer to WWE because WWE's red hot right now, and so how do we make ourselves that people need to watch us? I think that's what Tony Khan needs to figure out, and the talent as well.
Yes.
But nonetheless, they're a place for people to go and work, and they can still do some great stuff on that show. You got Japan, you got Impact Wrestling or TNA, which I think was a humongous mistake to go back to TNA. But you have guys over there that are plying their trade, and that's a viable place to go. They've survived much mismanagement through the years, and somehow are still alive. It's a place to work. There are a ton of places to work. It feels like, that there's territories again in a large sense, but they're continental territories now. You got Japan, you got Mexico, you got Europe. You have all these different places that people can go, and you also have a couple different promotions in the Americas again, which is really key, really, really key.
Yeah.
And no matter where you go, you're making money. So wrestling as the industry as a whole is better.
It's nice.
WWE being red hot like it is good for everybody, because if WWE's red hot and that's the brand name, maybe people are like, I want to watch more wrestling. Then you start turning to these shows as well. That's how you create fans. It's opportunity for everybody. So
everybody wins.
So everybody wins. Like Michael Cole said, damn it, I love professional wrestling. And God, the way they were leaning into using the word wrestling tonight, I was like, thank you.
Yes. Yeah. It's
Anyway.
not sports entertainment.
Anyway, I've talked ad nauseum about this main event, Roy.
Dude,
go for it, man.
Nothing. Well, no, I mean, look, there's not much more to add. I said it before. I'll say it again. This felt like the Attitude Era. It felt like actual wrestling. The fans were into it. We saw a lot of crowd signs, which I'm a big fan of. Saw a lot of signs this weekend. The commentary, the surprises. It was one after another. This was fitting for, like, if you're going to end Roman Reigns' title run, this was fitting. This was the way to do it. This really was, because he tried. Everybody in the Bloodline came out, and it still wasn't enough. The deck was stacked against Cody Rhodes, and he had backup. They said it, on Saturday. They mentioned it. They mentioned it again on the pre-show. Like, Cody has to have a plan. He can't come in alone. He's going to lose. And he wasn't alone. He had a plan. My only fear, which thank God it did not happen, was I did not want somebody new making his debut at WrestleMania for the Bloodline. Like, that was my only thing. Like, if for whatever reason, somehow, some way, Cody does not win the title, I'm going to hate it. But please, I don't want him to lose because somebody's making their debut. Like, I can't. I couldn't. Thankfully, no one made their debut. It was a bunch of returns. And the crowd overall, I felt tonight, and maybe it was the weather, they were louder. They were more into it than they were last night. I was texting a buddy of mine this morning that was at, both shows. And he asked me, he's like, look, how did we come off on television? Because I'm reading that the crowd was dead on TV. But in person, we were actually loud. But towards the end, we were freezing our asses off. So I don't know if it's a weather thing because today was warmer, but the crowd was more into it, especially the main event. You said it, that 1, 2, 3, the pop was huge.
I think that pop is going to go down as like one of my all-time favorite pops from a crowd. There's a few things that really stick out to me in my mind as a wrestling fan. it's funny. Almost all of them involve The Rock. It's like really interesting, but I'll never forget at WrestleMania 17 when even though he was in the process of turning heel, when Stone Cold hit the stunner on The Rock after after Vince, he had already started attacking with Vince, but he hit the stunner on The Rock, and it's in Houston, Texas. I mean, I don't know how the hell you could have ever thought you could turn Steve Austin heel in Texas. Everything about it was just harebrained. Which maybe was the start of Vince's dementia. I don't know, but I still remember he covered The Rock and the crowd 1, 2, and when The Rock kicked out, there was silence because the crowd was taking a breath at the same exact time, and they all went, "Oh!" That's one of the most amazing crowd reactions I've ever heard in my life. The other one was when Hogan hits Rock with the leg drop in Toronto at WrestleMania 18. I just remember this guy in the front row. He was taking pictures on this like ancient digital camera that was like the size of a brick. And he really, I want to see the pictures that he took because he was dead center front row. He got this great picture of Hogan dropping the leg. Then he puts his camera down. The lanyard must have felt like 1,000,000 pounds. And he's going 1, 2. And when The Rock kicked out, he goes, the guy melted. He was just so into it. Those things stick out to me in such a large way. The Daniel Bryan stuff I was there for when the Undertaker's streak ended the same night. In terms of like crowd reaction, I'll never forget. I was there for that stuff, man. And then this one tonight, that pop, every single person in Lincoln Financial Field had a reaction to it. It was special, man. It was so special.
Yeah. I kind of regret not going to WrestleMania. Kind of. Like, I have that little bit of a regret. But at the same time, it was enjoyable, more than enjoyable watching it on television.
Actually, really, the best seat in the house, really sometimes is just on your couch, in a warm living room. Because it did drop to 49 degrees for the main event. But it was 61 throughout the day. It was 61.
Yes. This was another one, actually. The opening match, Jorge's mentioning it, a huge pop when Drew opened up with the Claymore. That was massive. That was freaking massive.
Yeah. We do got to talk about the rest of the show.
Yes.
Are there any other thoughts about the main event? I'm sure we'll pepper them in as the show goes on.
No, God. I've already rewatched that pinfall like 3 or 4 times.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it yet. I'm just
going
off of memory.
I opened up Instagram and it was like the first thing on my screen. Like, fuck it, I'm watching this. And I watched it. But no, it's honestly, could not have asked for a better ending. Let's put it that way. Could not have asked for a better ending.
Real quick, actually, the fact that you were able to see that on Instagram, and it probably came from WWE's account.
Yes.
I love that. Also, that transition of like, even the way they approach social media, where it was like they never gave away anything cool that happened on the show. Maybe they show like a GIF of something, or they show a picture of something happening, but it's like, oh, you got to subscribe to see it. It's like, do they do that when somebody scores a touchdown? It's like, hey, you know what? Here's something cool that happened and you didn't see it live. You suck. Or you get to relive it if you saw it live.
Or you get to relive it. Like, this is why you should be watching the program. This is why you should be watching WrestleMania and getting the network or Peacock or Netflix, whatever it's going to be on. Yeah.
Cool stuff.
There's a reason why they hit, 1 billion subscribers or whatever it is on YouTube. So, yeah.
They've got social media on lockdown. They really do. They're very good at that. All right, let's get into the show, bro.
Let's do it. Drew McIntyre. Sorry, go ahead.
No. This is getting into the show. I promise you. So it actually starts off with this really great edition of "God Bless America."
Mm-hmm.
And last night they had the Star Spangled Banner, and I did not know that. Oh my God! Apparently, the only like WrestleMania through the years has always been America the Beautiful, America the Beautiful, because apparently Vince hates the Star Spangled Banner and God Bless America. He just doesn't like the song, so it was always America the Beautiful. But like usually when you do a sporting event, it's always like you got to do the Star Spangled Banner.
Well, yeah, it's the national anthem.
Right, or the national anthem, and then you either do the Star Spangled Banner and American Beautiful. But you usually have the national anthem because it's the national anthem. I didn't know. So like last night when they did the national anthem, I was like, God, like I really like this version of the national anthem, and I was like, there's never been a national anthem at WrestleMania before because Vince hated it. Like even that felt. I mean, like if they can make a freaking national anthem seem fresh, that's cool. Other thing I liked before the Drew McIntyre match and Rollins match started, Stephanie McMahon coming.
That was a surprise. I know she was at the Hall of Fame when we saw her, but that was a surprise.
I thought she was all but done with WWE. And she was. She really was done with WWE. You know, she was the CEO when Vince stepped down. And then when he organized that coup with his shares and essentially, you know, got people off the board and then brought people onto the board that were favorable to him, because she was part of the board that voted against having him come back.
Yeah.
He unceremoniously ousted the first female CEO for WWE. The only, you know, or not, I shouldn't say the first, but, you know, really like as a publicly traded company, I know Linda McMahon definitely had a lot of, you know, leadership in that company as well. But his own daughter ousted her. And she never had like a goodbye moment. It was just like Stephanie's gone and she's not a character on TV anymore. She's just gone. To see her at the Hall of Fame on Friday was like really special. I was like, oh, it's just great to see Stephanie again. But to see her coming to the ring was like a different story. It really felt like that was like one of the last things that really needed to be undone. Some of the unfairness of how Vince treated people toward the end, and you know, really how he just to get a little more power back, how much he compromised even his own family.
He doesn't care.
Get back to it, which makes me think that he's a very ill man. To see her coming out and saying this is the Paul Levesque era and basically, you know, kind of like poo-pooing like that last era at the end. Really?
Yeah, saying I've never been prouder to.
Yes.
I'm like, wow. Your father kind of built this from the ground up. I mean, obviously bought it from his father, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, that was a powerful statement. That was
39 years, 40. Yeah. Okay. All right.
That was an incredibly powerful statement.
But you know what? Well, yeah, exactly. It's powerful and also shows people like, hey, I'm completely like, I'm not related to my father in that sense. Like, forget about it. That's done. We're moving on. This really is a new era. It's the Paul Levesque era.
Yeah, I do got to say though, it was weird typing McMahon in a recap again.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that name is so tarnished. I almost think that, you know, maybe it's time to take the Levesque name.
You got to wonder if Shane ever comes back in any capacity.
I would be curious. I would be curious because I know that him and Triple H did not get along.
Yes, very true.
Like legitimately did not.
Yeah.
Like, partly because Shane thought the company like should have been his. Like I'm the guy. I'm the son. It's supposed to be mine. And Stephanie seems like she's stepping up and getting it. And that I think that created a lot of animosity. But maybe he grew up. I don't know. We'll see.
Who knows?
I mean, I'd like to see him come back because his last comeback was so terrible. Like tearing his quad, like right as he made the comeback. It was kind of sad. Yeah. I'd like to see. Yeah. I don't like. Shane definitely got tired at the end, where it's like these guys have to sell for Shane. You know, his terrible offense.
Him and the Undertaker, the Hell in a Cell, and
right. It was brutal. It was really, really brutal. Like Undertaker should have finished him off in like 3 minutes, and they went like a half hour. And Undertaker had to sell some of the worst looking offense in wrestling history. Mm-hmm. It was embarrassing, you know, at certain points. But he was a great character, you know, for his time, and I would like to see him just have like at least a goodbye.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever, some closure to his career. I think he deserves that. I don't think because I think part of the reason why he left the company is because he didn't want to be like his father, after all.
Which is fair.
And speaking of, now before we start even talking about Rollins and McIntyre,
yeah,
Roy, where do you think Vince McMahon was tonight? And did he hate watch the show?
I don't know where he was at or who he was with. I'm pretty sure he hated it. he would have. I'm sure he found something to bitch and complain about. Absolutely sure of it. Like, oh, you guys are doing a cash in at the beginning, the first match of the show. I did it in the last. Like, what are you crazy? I don't know, something. Bitch and complain about. But you know what? He can bitch and complain all he wants. It's good to be a wrestling fan again. But yeah, was probably at home or something.
I mean, I just imagine him like watching the show, just like in a rocking chair, like, you know, like really just like trembling as he watches this, you know, like listening to Michael Cole, you know, on commentary,
say the word wrestling,
all the taboos that they broke, all of, I mean, like that list of stuff. I mean, Adam was talking about it last night, like the things that you couldn't say, you know, like you can't say hospital, you say local medical facility. You can't say it's a, you know, you want the belt, come get it. It has to be, you want the championship. You want the title. Oh, okay. They're not fans. They're WWE Universe. They're not wrestlers. They're superstars. How about Michael Cole on the pre-show or I forget what it was, the kickoff show, whatever it was, saying, you know, introducing CM Punk and then saying, oh, this is the guy that all the internet marks make headlines about.
Yeah, that was surprising that he said that.
Using such an insider term as mark.
Yeah. As long as they don't overdo it, I'm fine with it. You know, you sprinkle it in every now and then, it's all right. If people understand it, they understand it. If they don't, you know, they don't. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, as long as they don't overdo it, that was genius. And if that doesn't confirm that Vince is gone, nothing will.
Yeah.
Nothing will.
He's long gone. All right.
Yeah. Opening match.
Show kicks off with a world heavyweight title match. I did not expect that it would start off.
I kind of did.
Yeah, I couldn't think of anything else that should start it off other than maybe the United States title match.
Yeah, that was my other choice. Can I say though, and I completely agreed with CM Punk during Seth Rollins' entrance, where Punk was completely shitting on him. He said, "What am I supposed to do with this? What am I supposed to talk about with this?" And he was right. I'm sure somebody out there enjoyed that entrance, and if you did, hey, good for you. I'm not gonna hate on you for liking it. Different strokes for different folks, but what the hell was that?
I didn't like it. And CM Punk's initial commentary, the first thing he said was, "Look at this goof." Yeah. I was like, yeah.
Finally, somebody says it.
You know, and it's like I found Seth Rollins in the main event in a failed run-in in his Shield gear to look and feel far more compelling than he did in that insane, ridiculous getup that he had.
It was trash.
God damn, what a great match.
It was a fucking amazing match. Honestly, it was a great match. I really thought they would go one of two ways. I thought they would go Brock Lesnar versus Cena, SummerSlam 2014. I really thought they'd do Drew just completely dominate Seth. Or I thought we were going to get one of those 5-minute Brock Lesnar Goldberg matches. I thought it was going to be one of those two. And when Drew hit the Claymore right away, I'm like, oh shit, this is going to be like a 5-second thing. I'm glad I was wrong though.
I actually thought, I was like, God, there's going to be a lot of like, I thought there'd be like a lot of rest holds and submissions to the back and this and that. But no, I loved that they, you know, Drew came in there with a focus and he looked great. I loved, you know, the stuff with him and his wife in the hotel room watching the night before. He's like, oh, it's gonna be the easiest payday of my life. Turning off the thing is like, oh, can't wait for tomorrow. It's gonna be great. What an idiot. You know, he came out there and hits him with the Claymore kick immediately. You know, they definitely leaned into the fact that Rollins was very, very banged up for the main event. But they did a bunch of really great near falls, and it was almost like, you know, Drew was kind of doing like what Gunther was doing last night, where he was getting a little too cocky. He flew too close to the sun, and then it came back to kind of bite him. You know, he wound up taking that pedigree on the floor. Then he gets stomped. He gets stomped on the table. You know, and they did a really, really great thing of showing, you know, even though he's dressed like an idiot, that Seth Rollins is a really scrappy, fantastic wrestler.
Mhm.
Even though he's injured, he got Drew down to his level and injured him just as much.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
I thought
but it wasn't enough. Drew ultimately comes out on top.
beat him.
But his scrappiness, that's the character of Seth Rollins I want to see. I don't like. He doesn't need to wear all that ridiculous getup.
No. I look. Obviously, we hate a lot on Seth's character and all that stuff, but when the bell rings, the guy performs. You can't say anything, to discredit him in that sense.
Yeah, one of the top guys of his generation by far.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know if he's going to be taking time off after this. I truly don't know. He might need it. I'm sure he's banged up a little bit, we know he's banged up. But I'm so invested with Drew. Him actually tweeting during the match, taking his wife's phone, or I guess his phone from his wife, tweeting, saying, I can't remember what he tweeted. Something about being at work or slow day at work or something.
I didn't know he actually tweeted something. I didn't see it.
He tweeted something. Yeah.
Oh, that's Drew amazing.
When he took the phone from his wife, he tweeted something. He tweeted, let me get the tweet.
Oh, I have to see that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. He tweeted, he wrote, "Bored at work, LOL." And then he tweeted something afterwards. Here, I'll get it too. Drew, let's bring this up.
Oh, that's so great.
He tweeted twice. Once was afterwards. There you go. So Drew tweeted saying, "Bored at work, LOL." And then when he lost afterwards, it was "Bored at work, LOL."
Oh, and he put "fuck yeah."
Yeah. He's doing great work. Tremendous.
He's killing it. He really is.
I was not expecting CM Punk to get physical, but when Drew started to milk it, that's when I thought what we had spoken about. I thought, oh, okay, we're gonna get the cash
in. I actually kind of thought that he was rubbing it in his face so much that Punk would have to respond, and that Drew would take him out again. To kind of, I didn't think Punk was as healthy as I guess he is. That the fact that he can take the brace off and get a little physical. I mean, he didn't do much, but he did
hit him
enough.
With his left. He did enough. Yeah, he hit him with his left too. But yeah, I wasn't expecting Punk to get physical, but I was expecting the cash in once they really started.
Yeah.
Out.
Yeah, once they started getting physical and Punk hit him with the brace and everything,
yes.
I knew I was like, oh my God, they're gonna do a cash in here. But I actually thought that he was gonna lay CM Punk out and have this massive heel moment. I thought he was gonna drag him to the ring and stomp his arm and stuff like that. I thought that's what they were setting up for when he was milking it too much. That Punk would respond and then he would be gimped out, with the arm. Instead, Damian Priest wound up having this really special moment. I know it's a little polarizing. I saw a really unflattering nickname for him online that I don't really want to repeat. But when he told his story at the press conference, I was happy for him because I was like, God, this guy's career, and we talked about it earlier already, so I'm not going to rehash it, but I thought he was dead in the water. Being booked under Vince, it was only a matter of time before he was on the release list. He was going to be like one of those people that would be released on like a Black Friday or something like that. And instead, his career got resurrected by Paul Levesque because Paul knows how Damian Priest should be booked. He knows how Rhea Ripley should be booked. He figured out how to make Dirty Dom go from being Rey Mysterio's son to Rey Mysterio being his father. Oh, Dominic Mysterio, his father's Rey Mysterio, not he's the son of, because he's his own person now. And Finn Balor figured out how to turn his career around too, because I still remember that tweet of him sitting in a child's play set and having to smile because that was like a Vince thing. When he told that story of being homeless, 10 years ago, and how nobody believed in him, and he went from being a homeless guy just trying to make it as a wrestler to world heavyweight champion at Lincoln Financial Field at the biggest WrestleMania of all time.
Wow.
You're a monster if you didn't feel anything for that.
Yeah. This was a special moment for him. You could tell when he was celebrating on stage. Everybody, like the Judgment Day. I mean, you could tell they all enjoyed it. They were all happy for him. Very proud. I'm intrigued to see what he does as champion. I'm sure we'll have him and Drew probably at Clash at the Castle. Andrew mentioned it in the chat too, like in Scotland. Maybe that's where Drew gets his title back. I don't know. It's gonna be, again, I'm intrigued with Drew with Damian as champ. But the good thing now is, CM Punk essentially cost Drew the title. So with the title, without a title, that feud is going to be massive when Punk is cleared.
Oh yeah,
it's massive.
God, I mean, they've set themselves up so well for the next couple of months. Even like at the end, Cody Rhodes shaking hands with Seth Rollins, and Seth kind of mouthed him like, "Hey, you owe me one now."
Yeah.
There's some stuff there, and you know what? It's like you can play that black and white thing where it's like you don't always have to be a heel,
well,
they, it doesn't have to be like so clear. Like Seth Rollins and Cody can have a match because I do owe you one. You're right, and then build off of that. It doesn't have to be like
okay. They have a lot of feuds. Punk, Drew, Punk, Seth, Cody, Drew, and Damian Priest, and who knows who else. There's a lot going on there. So Daniel's saying it, long-term booking. Yes, sir.
We love that. We love that. So, gosh, it was just a great way to kick off the show. And again, like those night twos, there's always a little bit of a WrestleMania hangover. They got you fired up immediately with a world title match. I mean, it was so smart. It worked. Everything worked. Starting right off with the Claymore, and you thought it was going to be like Sheamus and Daniel Bryan from WrestleMania 28, the bro kick in 5 seconds, or whatever that match wound up being, 20 seconds long. You're like, oh shit, it's over. I can't believe it. And then
I thought it was that.
And then they went on and had a phenomenal match, wrestled for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
had great stuff.
It was good.
Right up to and then doing a cash in, and I did see a lot of people that were like, this sucks because Drew got his moment stolen again. I'm like, you don't really understand like what the moment is.
Yeah,
the moment he had it. Did you see how much getting that world title meant to him? Even if it's just for 2 seconds, everybody's like, sometimes they conflate, these props with like being like real things. Like, he's part of an excellent storyline. He knows he is. He just won at WrestleMania, so no matter what, the match card's always going to say Drew McIntyre defeats Seth Rollins to be the world champion. That's the moment that he's been waiting for. Win a title in front of people. He did it. And then you go with the storyline after that. He had his moment. So I don't know, like some people like really, really were getting like, losing their shit.
No, I mean, look, I said it yesterday around the pre-show, or sorry, the prediction show. I said I don't want Damian to cash in because I wanted Drew to win. Drew won. We got the cash in. I'm okay with that, and I'm especially okay with it because of the way they did it. You know what I mean? Like the way they did it, I think was very, very smart way. Very smart.
Yeah. Moving on next to the Philadelphia street fight here.
Yeah.
Like I loved Snoop Dogg on commentary. I just have to say that when they pulled out the tables from underneath the ring and he's like, oh, look at this. It's like a picnic table here. And he broke into a Yogi Bear impression, which like, if you're, I guess if you're under the age of 30, you probably don't even know what the hell Yogi Bear is. I know Yogi Bear. And Corey Graves goes, yeah, Snoop, you are smarter than the average bear, but it was so funny amidst this like hardcore match. You have Snoop Dogg, who's just in awe of everything. When Scarlett like hits, I forget, like Scarlett hit Bobby Lashley with a kendo stick. He's like, oh man, you got to watch your back. And oh, you got to watch your back. Oh, damn, look, they just went through the table. He was so much fun. His naivete was so great.
It made it more enjoyable. Again, I said this earlier.
Yes.
When he came out, I'm like, okay, all right, they want a celebrity. Like, it made no sense to have him specifically, but it worked. It worked so well.
It was great, and actually, it made some of the parts of that match a little more interesting because Karrion Kross, when he was in the ring, there was that lull again. People just they see him and they just immediately just stop wanting to react. So having him on commentary definitely brightened it up for the audience. And then, doing all the table spots at the end and really just kind of just killing this guy.
That one table spot, though. You know which one I'm talking about.
I know.
Oh, that was rough. But look, it happens. It happens. Thankfully, not often.
But you know what? They kind of saved it, and then they had Montez Ford go wild on him with those kendo stick shots. I was like, I'm sure he's going to have to apologize to him backstage for doing that because that was pretty nasty.
That was rough. But it was a fun match, I guess. Nothing.
Look, the match went 8.5 minutes with the table botch. They did the "was up" headbutt. Bubba Ray Dudley as the guest referee. You got your table spots and you got your ECW kind of hardcore, but WWE style ECW. It's like it wasn't like out of control and wild. It was relatively safe and fun. Like that. You're in Philadelphia. You got to do a little ECW, especially because Paul Heyman went to the Hall of Fame. So it did exactly what it was supposed to do. And you know what? I was really happy for freaking Paul Ellering. He never had
WrestleMania.
Never been in front of a WrestleMania crowd before.
Yeah.
Really, except for WrestleMania 8. So he got his spot.
True.
He got his moment.
Yep. Yeah. He did. But no, it was good. I'm happy for the guys, specifically, Bobby Lashley and I guess everybody involved. It was good to give them that match, and it was a good buffer, right? Good buffer between the matches.
Yeah, perfect buffer. I really it was totally fine. Next is LA Knight versus AJ Styles, where LA Knight comes out on top. How did you feel about this one, Roy?
I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I know both guys, they worked hard. These are two veterans. They worked hard. They deserve a WrestleMania match. I was a fan of the feud, the build up to it. Did they deliver? Yes. Was it a WrestleMania caliber performance, so to speak? I don't know. I don't think this is over. I think we're going to get a rematch. I don't know. I didn't hate it, but it wasn't my favorite match in the world.
Yeah, I'm perpetually conflicted by LA Knight. I think he's definitely over, but he's got kind of for me, he's got like a Karrion Kross kind of thing going on. Where he's good promo, it's compelling sometimes, but when the bell rings, it's just
he's not as bad.
He's not as bad. Not as bad as Karrion Kross, but it just doesn't click for me. It's just it's like he's just he's okay. He's I don't think he'll ever be a great wrestler, but he's a good wrestler.
Yeah, he's we'll see what they end up doing with him. I think he's been decent in the ring. Like, I can't think of one match was like, gosh, that was, really bad. No fault of his own, of course. But yeah, again, I was expecting better from both, to be honest. Not to say it was bad, but I was expecting better. Yeah,
I mean, there's no such thing as a bad match when AJ Styles is involved in it. But it was just kind of there. It was I would say it was a good match, but no more than that. No more than that. And the crowd was kind of flat for it.
Ultimately. That's it. Yeah. And I don't know if it was I don't think you could really blame the placing of it. Like, they weren't going to open the show when it wasn't next to the main event or anything. I thought the placement of the match itself was good. I just don't think they really did too well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. It is what it is. I don't think it's done yet, though. I don't think it's done yet. Good. Not yet. All right.
So, United States Championship triple threat match. This was a ton of fun.
I loved the way this match went down. I found it a bit odd, but I did enjoy it. Kevin Owens and Randy Orton kind of walking down together. I thought Logan Paul coming down with a prime monster truck, or not monster truck, but I guess truck.
Yeah, what the hell of a truck was that? It was amazing.
I don't know what
I've never
that
seen
was.
anything like it.
No, and Kevin Owens still had his golf cart, from SmackDown from Friday. So it was nice. Them double teaming Logan Paul, I loved it. And Kevin Owens has been like, okay, then finally telling Orton, okay, do you want to fight? We're doing this now. We're doing this now. And then Orton hits him. He's like, okay, we're doing this now. And that was good. It was enjoyable. It was fun. I can't think of a single Logan Paul match that I did not think was bad.
Everything he's done. I mean, maybe the first meh match was the Royal Rumble that he had against Kevin Owens just recently. But
yeah.
I did love the stuff with Kevin and Randy at the beginning. I love that, like when they were slamming him on the table, and Orton, when he had Owens do it, then he gave him pointers after on no, you got to get him a little higher. He goes like, oh, I totally get it now. So he shows him how to do it again. They get him in the ring. Then they eventually go for a cover, and they're like,
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to do it now? I mean, we could still beat him up a little more, but I know that one of us has to get the pin. They're like, let's do it now. And then they start fighting. You know what? That. It's like, it's okay to have a little fun in a WrestleMania match. It's okay. And Kevin Owens is a great personality, and Randy Orton's at this stage of his career where he can just do anything, And Andrew Elder is making me be a good husband right now because it is my wife's birthday right now. April 8th is my beautiful wife's birthday. She's upstairs. I hope the kids are down now, but it is. She is looking lovely and very pregnant, and we are very, very close to our third little girl. So hopefully it's not on her birthday.
All right,
but we'll see. But they did have there was a couple of really good things with the Logan Paul match too. I mean, Logan is just phenomenal. He's really a phenomenal professional wrestler. He gets it. He's really athletic. He's on for everything. It was really interesting that he said, he was being interviewed, I think was it Pat McAfee, when they asked him, what's harder? You've faced Floyd Mayweather before. What's harder, training for Floyd or wrestling? He's like, wrestling by far. And they're like, whoa, really? And he goes, the things you have to do, like, when I was training for Floyd Mayweather, I had to, I just had to focus on facing Floyd. But for this, I have to focus on, 65,000 people that are around me. I have to focus on where the camera is. I have to hit this move, and I have to do this safely. And
he gets it.
Yeah, that was the right call. I mean, wrestling fans will really appreciate that. I don't know. I kind of doubt that wrestling is harder than training for facing Floyd Mayweather, but it's not an easy thing. That's for damn sure. And the fact that he knew enough for the audience to say, like, hey, you know what? Yeah, this is definitely the tougher thing. People will appreciate that. They'll respect that a lot.
Yeah. No, of course. A bit of a segue. We'll come back to Logan Paul in just a second.
I'm actually curious to see if this next guest knows who I Show Speed is.
I barely knew who I Show Speed is, to be honest.
I actually waited for it to start trending on Twitter to see who it was.
I had seen some stuff. But our next guest is, let's just bring him in. Let's see how this goes. Mr. Paul Nemer is actually joining us. Yes, Mr. Paul.
Yes. Good. Actually, not good morning. Good evening.
Good morning for me.
Good morning. It's 1 a.m. here.
Good morning for me. 8:10 a.m. here. So imagine catching WrestleMania like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
It's rough.
I had to honestly, I didn't catch it on time, but I was fast forwarding through stuff and whatever. But I saw what I needed to see. I saw the full match too. So
main event. What did you think?
I'm going to be honest. I wasn't really active in the chat between the guys at WrestleView, but I was 100% confident he was winning. There was no chance in the world that he was going to face Drew and beat Drew later or another time or whatever. No, it was tonight. And it reminded me, it's kind of funny, but it's true. I don't know, you guys probably mentioned it. It reminds me of Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 11 against Diesel, and then he lost. And then WrestleMania 12, the boyhood dream comes true a year later, and he won back-to-back Rumbles also. And Cody Rhodes, same thing, won to back-to-back Rumbles. Last year lost, and this year, it has to come true. So it was like, it was set to be. And even last year after his loss to Rambo, I said, look, I still, there's Rambo 6 coming out. I'm like, no. It's so
Wow.
yeah, because you know the joke, right? So he never loses, right? So yeah, so I after what happened last year, and remember we were in the chat, and I said, guys, he has it somewhere in his contract. He didn't come back from AEW to just like job and then just not win the belt. He has the belt written in his contract somewhere, a title reign, and title shot. Vince hates that. So yeah.
Oh, screw Vince.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Yeah, seriously.
He's gone.
Finished. So yeah, it was for me. It was there was no surprise whatsoever. Yeah, there was surprises in the main event with the Undertaker's involvement, John Cena, The Rock, everybody. But in terms of the ending of the match, I mean, it was, for me, it was 100% Cody, for sure.
That's an amazing callback actually to WrestleMania 11, because I tried to just get that out of my mind because that was such a horrible WrestleMania. But yeah, I forgot that he faced Diesel at that match, and even like the pin that he took. I remember he took a jackknife powerbomb on his ass.
That was a rough powerbomb.
It was nasty. But yeah, and then that ties into the boyhood dream at WrestleMania 12. Sometimes I forget that Paul is a wrestling fan. He's the website guy, but he knows his wrestling history here. That's an amazing callback. That's an amazing callback.
I was called the wrestling encyclopedia at one point, but it doesn't mean that because I don't watch wrestling as much as you do today that I don't know my past. Of course I do.
You know your stuff, man. You know your stuff, brother. But damn, so what, like this WrestleMania main event, I'm trying to think of when I've seen a bigger spectacle in the main event, especially in the last 20 years. I think this has got to be one of the tops. There's a Daniel Bryan WrestleMania 30 Yeselmania thing. I'm struggling to think of anything else in modern WrestleMania.
No, even like Kofi Mania, so it wasn't like this.
No, the closest that resembles, and again, it's the Rock Hogan, the atmosphere of that match, the way it turned out. It was a semi-main event, was it? Or was it the main event? I forgot.
No,
it was a semi-main.
It was
Jericho and Triple H. Oh,
yeah,
terrible match.
But forget that main event of that year, but the semi-main event, the atmosphere of that, the way that match was, it went down. Everybody was on the edge of their seats, even though, they switched roles, but it was like the crowd was so into it. And this one's like a bunch of surprises. And that's what made the match even better. It was the surprises. And I'm not saying it was a bad match. No, it was a really good match. But the surprises and stuff was pretty cool to see that. I'm always wondering, it's like in 10 years time when The Rock's 60 and Taker's 70, and what's going to happen? What kind of surprises are we going to get? Is it going to be the same type of reaction when, I don't know, CM Punk is 50 and he shows up, or he's 60 and he shows up? You know what I mean?
John
Cena, John Cena, but they're behind the 8 ball, like you're saying, Paul, because they really do have a lot of catching up to do. To fix some of the sins that Vince McMahon committed in terms of not building up any major stars, really. He built up John Cena and he fed everybody to them to the point where nobody could emerge as big. Maybe Randy Orton, you could say.
Close enough. Yeah.
Close, but it wasn't with respect.
Not the same level.
No. But he can come back when he's 60 and hit an RKO and people will be happy, I think.
Yes.
I think he could do that, but yeah, there's no big characters like the Undertaker and The Rock work so well because you remember their characters from the Attitude Era. You remember all the crazy shit they were doing. Undertaker is still the guy that threw Mick Foley off the Hell in a Cell. The Rock is still the guy from the Nation Domination, and being part of the corporation, the corporate champion, and all that stuff. You get flashbacks to those things when those two are in the ring. Yeah, who's going to be in the ring, in 10 years, like you're saying? That they have to start building those guys now. I guess
Exactly.
it'll eventually be Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins at some point, and Roman Reigns.
Maybe Roman.
Roman will be that guy. Roman could be that guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Roman could be like The Rock, let's say.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say he's like the generational talent, but Cody Rhodes is going to, he has to put the work in, and I know he's going to do it, but, I think he's on the path to becoming a generational guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, just like what you guys said earlier, we'll wait and see what happens with Cody Rhodes' title reign, because we don't know. I hope they build him up. I hope he becomes like a...
Yeah, who's his first challenger? Who's the first guy to challenge Cody Rhodes for the title?
I don't know. Do they throw in Gunther right away? Probably not.
I think Gunther's got to go through he's got to go through a building up process again to get to the main event now.
Yeah. It's not going to be Seth.
It's definitely not going to be Seth, because Seth has been jobbing pretty fucking bad. So, you can't just tear down Seth either and just feed him to the Cody right now. I don't think it's the right move, because there's no way Cody's going to lose on his first match, right? Or second.
No.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, Damian Priest obviously is going to be facing Drew McIntyre. Sami Zayn I'm like looking around at the card of like who wrestled on WrestleMania.
AJ
trying
Styles?
to think, like, I guess. I mean, Cody versus AJ would be a great match.
Would be. Hopefully it's not Nakamura again.
But we know the outcome of that one, right? They've been tearing AJ down ever since his last title reign from a few years back. He's been that mid-card guy. It's kind of like...
That's
well,
true.
I think we're going to know the outcome of a lot of Cody Rhodes matches for quite some time. I don't think he's losing. I don't think they ended a 1,300-day title reign for him to like lose it in like a couple months. I think he's going to have an extended reign too.
He's going to be the face of this new era for a while.
But he can't do like what Roman Reigns did and just like disappear for a month or two. So he has to like face people fairly consistently. So who does he face? Nakamura?
Jimmy Uso, Nakamura,
Big Braun.
I think he's
big Bronson Reed.
He might face. I think he's going to face the Bloodline at first, like a rematch with Reigns, probably.
Maybe Solo.
They could do a Jey Uso match too.
Well, who says that Reigns might have some time off? I don't know. And if not, I think he's going to be the first guy in line for a rematch. So they're going to have to schedule something.
I think they might. I think they might keep Roman off for a while and bring him back, maybe like Rumble or Survivor Series or something.
You think it's going to be a good 6 months off?
Maybe.
I could see it. Or they might bring him back like they did in 2020 when he was gone for all those months, and all of a sudden at the end of SummerSlam he came back and just, like, ran wild on everybody.
Is it crazy to think Roman's off air, comes back, wins the Rumble, and we get this part 3?
No.
A trilogy could happen.
Maybe.
But I think they finished the story so well that I don't know.
Mashun is saying Lashley, Bobby Lashley, maybe. Lashley, Solo, Jay.
Yeah, but like, none of that like really like seems like compelling. Like if Cody Rhodes is going to have a first title defense, like I'd like to see something can't miss. Like I feel like Cody Rhodes versus Bobby Lashley, I could miss that.
Well, yeah, but it's also a matter of who could you
throw
in. It's in the follow-up, that's true, but also who could you throw in that realistically could have a chance against Cody? Granted, we know Cody's going to win, but who would,
Randy
but
Orton.
I believe also this is defined by what is the next pay-per-view, right?
Isn't it Backlash? Backlash in France, is it?
Yeah, I think so. Yep. Backlash.
Are you going to have that mega main event Backlash in France? Like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, the next American pay-per-view is SummerSlam.
Yeah, that's the next big pay-per-view in my opinion. I've always, Rumble, Mania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, those are like, it still is, I think, in my opinion. The other ones are just like,
well, they're trying to make what's called Money in the Bank a big one because of the ladder match, right? But yeah, the big ones are that.
Big one because it defines the next star, probably. Because of the Money in the Bank briefcase, generally speaking.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see.
see what
I'm
Monday
interested. I mean, Goosey's saying it could be Solo Sikoa, but God,
Probably.
Oh gosh, I hope
Well,
not.
it's the bloodline. It has to be the bloodline. Somebody in the bloodline to seek revenge for Roman. It has to be. Like
I
you
hope
can't
not.
just take that and just throw it off. I don't know. I think it makes sense to start with someone in the bloodline
It
and
does.
then move up.
It does. Just hopefully.
yeah, Solo though, man, when he freaking he's another one that's like when the bell rings, it's like the bell rings and I fall asleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a really polished presentation, that's for sure.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not. But we'll see what happens on.
They could have some fun with it. They can
Yeah.
figure something out. But yeah, there's a lot going on there. But I'm trying to think. Like this is probably like one of the best WrestleMania main events. It's got to be up there of all time.
Yeah, in a while.
But I know for a fact it's better than Undertaker versus Sid Justice.
Okay, question. If these stars hadn't showed up, and I'm talking about Cena, Taker, Rock, everybody, it was just Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and the Bloodline, and no one showed up, would you have said what you said right now, that it was the greatest WrestleMania main event of all time?
Because of the 1,300-day title reign.
Yeah.
And I think they were having a great wrestling match before the run-ins happened. They had a
No doubt.
They had a 20-minute match that was, before the run-in started, that was really, really, really well done. And considering what they did last year as well, when he wasn't even at 1,000 days as champion yet, I do think so. Yes, I still think it would be a top-notch main event.
Yeah,
but it would be like up there with like Daniel Bryan, because they had a straight wrestling match too for WrestleMania. For that WrestleMania 30 match, that Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, and Batista. Although they did that funny thing where they took Daniel Bryan out for a little bit, he was injured, and then he had to make the big comeback. So they did a couple gimmick things there, but they for the most part had a straight wrestling match. So yeah, the run-ins all made sense. I mean, look, you end something that's so big, it has to end emphatically, and having 1 billion people running in, like major stars too, makes it special. It felt like WrestleMania. It felt like something befitting WrestleMania. Yeah, if you think about that WrestleMania 1 main event, it's like Liberace's the belt, the timekeeper, Billy Martin on ring announcing. That was this,
Yeah, that it was.
All the stars.
All right, guys, it was a lot of fun. And before I go, I would really want to thank you guys, Mike, as usual. Phenomenal recap, the best recap online, period, no doubt.
Thank you, sir.
Roy, thanks for everything. I don't even have to mention Alex, Jerome. Seriously, thank you for the team. I know it was a huge weekend for you guys, and you guys worked nonstop. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you, buddy. It's what I live for, really. Like I love doing this. This is the stuff I do for fun.
Yeah.
So it's
perfect.
It's a great thing to have a platform as a wrestling fan to do all this stuff. So thanks for giving us the platform.
Thank you guys. Take care, and wish Victoria a happy birthday too.
Thank you, Paul.
Take care, man.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Oh, bye.
Wow, the great Paul Nemer with us.
Yeah. Put this back. There you go. All right. That was a surprise. Always a surprise to have Paul on. Always a pleasure.
We have to pull out our own WrestleMania stars here.
There you go. Right. It's not just the Undertakers and the John Cenas. It's the Paul Nemers too. It's the Paul Nemer. All right. I think we had one more match to get to. I think
and then we can put a bow on this thing.
Yeah, it's already 1:30 here on the East Coast.
It is.
Bayley, Io Sky. Bayley finally getting her WrestleMania moment, winning a championship, singles championship at WrestleMania. I was expecting this to be a very good match, to be honest with you.
You were or weren't? I'm sorry.
I was. No, I was.
Oh, you were? Okay.
I was. Yeah, I was expecting this to... Because, look, they're both good in the ring. Io Sky can go. Bayley can go. And it is WrestleMania. So I was content with this match. Let's put it that way. I was happy. I was happy with the way things went. I'm happy for Bayley. Glad she won the Rumble. Glad she got a WrestleMania moment. And the crowd seemed into it too. You know,
Yes.
They
Oh yeah. All the out of towners that all the Europeans in the crowd that love to sing that, hey, we want some Bayley. Ooh, ha.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know what song that is, but it's like really that buzzing really made it special. I loved, some of these people are unapologetically wrestling fan nerds.
Okay.
Like you were talking about Samantha Irvin having that drawing of Bret Hart, from the
96,
mid 90s. Yeah. As a kid, like Bayley is she's been a wrestling fan her whole life. Like they have that footage of her, I think, meeting Lita at some point. And she's a gigantic wrestling nerd. And for her to have a title match at WrestleMania, which she's never had before. She's had title matches, but they were like multi-woman things, and it was always just okay. She never really had that big breakout moment or a moment that was just for her. So when they carried her out on stage with she was the pharaoh, like this Egyptian goddess, I don't know if you like caught her face, but she was so happy that this was happening, that they were making a big stink about her, because I don't think she was Bayley at that point. She was the actual person living this moment that she's been waiting for her whole life, getting the big WrestleMania entrance, and then they put her down, her music plays, she comes out, she goes down to the ring. She lived her moment. That was awesome. Right off the bat, I was hooked, because I was like, this means something. I was a little worried. I mentioned this on the prediction show that she was going to probably do too much, because sometimes when she has those big matches, she overdoes it. No, Io Sky and her put together a really excellent match.
Io Sky took some bumps, like the way she would land. I'm thinking, I know she's safe. She's not hurt, but some of them looked very bad. Like some of them looked like they could legit break your neck or kill you. They took the bumps. I was very happy for Bayley. You could tell, as you said, during the entrance, when she was just kind of there looking at the stadium, and like, okay, like she's genuinely happy, the person, not necessarily just the character.
She I think her name is Pam. Like that was Pam, out there. Pamela something. I don't know her full name. On my cringe. But like when she was being carried, she was like just beaming. She was so giddy, and she even like stuck her tongue. She's like, like that kind of thing. She was so happy. And they really did have a hell of a match. And it was clean. There was no like damage control running in.
Which was good.
She hits her with her finish, pins her clean. It was just perfect. But man, there was like, a couple things that Io Sky did. She's a phenomenal wrestler. I've been following her since she was, in NXT as Io Shirai. She had some good matches there, and then she kind of came to the roster, and she's kind of been existing. And even like when she was coming to the ring, they mentioned that she's like, the most underrated champion in WWE right now. Because I think she hasn't really had a chance to like shine and have like those like big pay-per-view matches for her title and all that stuff. She's had some good defenses, but
it's true.
She's been in the background of this damage control thing.
Yeah, and not necessarily just the damage controls thing, but obviously yes, because then you have like Asuka and Kabuki Warriors and the whole thing with Bayley and blah blah blah. But even in terms of the women's division, it's been all about Rhea Ripley. Like,
yes,
if you think women's division in WWE, you're automatically going to think Rhea Ripley. You're not going to think Io Sky.
No.
So she never. No, and her title reign, to no fault of her own, was underwhelming. She never really got.
It got off to a hot start with she cashed in Money in the Bank to win it. But there hasn't really been much to it since. So at least she had a really good match to kind of
put a bow on it,
to put a bow on it. But there was a couple things that she did that were really excellent. I love the German suplex high on Bayley's neck that she had. That looked nasty. Like when they showed Bayley, like her legs were over her head and her head was like tilted into her shoulder. I was like, she looked like she was like one of those crash test dummies that like fell down the stairs. It was like she looked crushed. There was some really good stuff here. Yes, they did. Yeah, like when she jumped off the barricade into that slam on the floor. That was nasty. That was really nasty.
They really went for it, and good for them. I could see this not ending anytime soon. Like I could see at Backlash or WrestleMania Backlash or whatever the hell they're gonna call it, Bayley versus Io Sky. Like I could see them going once more and having a rematch there. And hey, I'd be all for it.
Yeah, it was man, it really was a WrestleMania moment for Bayley. She's the last of the 4 horsewomen to not have a WrestleMania moment, and she finally got it. Like Sasha Banks had her main event against Bianca Belair.
Charlotte, Becky.
After years of complaining and crying, she did get rewarded. Ugh, I can't stand that woman. Charlotte's had umpteen WrestleMania moments, including like I know that she main evented the first women's main event, was part of the first women's main event in WrestleMania history, but I actually thought Charlotte Flair's match against Asuka that was one of the finest women's matches I've ever seen.
That was the one. Was it AT&T Stadium? Was it in Texas?
No, I think it was in New Orleans. I think it was WrestleMania 34. I think they went back to New Orleans. They were in the.
But I remember that opened the card.
I think it did. And it was like Asuka's undefeated streak on the line.
Yes. Yeah.
And
undefeated.
She tapped out.
Undefeated pay-per-view streak or Charlotte something.
No, she was undefeated. Period. Undefeated? I think. I don't think she had been beat yet. She won the Royal Rumble, went in there, and it's like, oh, Asuka's gonna win, and they beat her. Not only did they beat her, she submitted. I was like, that's one of the best matches I've ever. One of the best women's matches I've ever seen by far. And I was like, Charlotte Flair's for real when I saw that.
Yeah.
And then of course Becky Lynch, all women's main event. She's the winner. She had her moment. Bayley has been that
last one.
4th horsewoman that. She's gone through injuries. She's been kind of underwhelming. The Kitty character kind of had a shelf life and it expired, and then she turned heel and then got injured and disappeared for a while. And now she's had her moment. She has had her moment.
Yes.
So really, I'm very happy for her. Again, like this whole show was about like, feeling good about watching wrestling again. And wrestling being cool. I see some people like online that are like, oh, this whole thing with bringing out Triple H at the end is gross, rather than like being happy that like there's a new era. We're being told you have to enjoy this new era because it's the Paul Levesque era, and you should be grateful. If you're not, we're gonna punish you or like whatever. Like
people are gonna complain for the sake of complaining.
Like, there are some miserable people out there, man. There are some miserable people.
Yeah,
I loved everything about this WrestleMania.
I adored it. I went into night 2 thinking it was all going to be about the main event, and to a certain degree it was. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't expecting too much from the undercard, except that like there were going to be some good matches, but I really enjoyed it. I don't know. I want to say I enjoyed night 2 more than night 1, and that's saying something.
Yeah, I got to agree with you because that second, really, if you think about it, this would have been the second half of like an 8-hour WrestleMania, like and it wouldn't have been as effective if they kept this. If this was all one night and they put all these matches, Cody Rhodes' pop never happens, like
nope.
But night 2 should be better because it's building off of night 1. It's not competing with night 1. Night 1 did what it was supposed to do: keep you excited, keep you buzzing, but they don't blow the crowd up. They don't like that hangover comes from like giving too much away on night 1 as well, because the crowd invariably is tired the next day. Like I know going to like when I went to it was WrestleMania 35 when it was here, we went to NXT and I was screaming my head off. The next day I get to WrestleMania, I'm already exhausted. So but I'm able to muster. Of course I can muster because I'm a man. I'm strong. I'm really good at being a good fan. I can cheer, but that hangover from giving too much away, where you scream too much and you can't muster for the next day. They didn't do that this time.
No,
that main event on night 1 was really good, but it wasn't as
left
good
you
as
wanting more. Yeah,
yes,
it left you wanting more.
Yes, it did.
That's the thing.
And it was just a perfectly built WrestleMania. Night 2 should have been better because it's building toward that main event. Like everything was done so smartly. the Paul Levesque era is the era that we've been waiting for, and it did not disappoint. I can't wait for later today to be recapping the Raw after WrestleMania. I can't wait to see the direction that they go in. They keep mentioning Brock Lesnar again now. You know, they mentioned him on the WrestleMania broadcast tonight. Michael Cole mentioned him.
Yeah.
You know, he was brought up by Triple H last night. I don't know. Maybe Cody faces the Brock. Maybe, maybe faces Brock. Who knows? But
maybe.
You know, I can't wait to see what happens next. I just cannot wait. It's a new era, and for me, it's a new lease on life for my love of professional wrestling.
Oh yeah.
I'm just glad I get to talk to a guy like you about it every single time.
Hey, thank you. And then likewise, thank you. And likewise, it's good to have somebody to talk to about it, especially a platform like this. You know, we have readers, everybody joining in on the fun as well. And, you know, I remember those dark days where you would cover Raw and it wasn't very good. And there was a lot of like the Raw underground stuff. And then you had pandemic and there was so much stuff that was going on. And now we have this. It's like, okay, it was worth it. You know, we didn't tap out. We didn't stop watching all those years ago. We sat through it. And it's fun. It's enjoyable. I said it before, I'll say it again. It's cool to be a wrestling fan again. You know, it's cool.
100% is. And it's cool to do a show like this with you, Roy.
Thank you. Likewise, buddy.
We're peaking in at 2 hours, so I think we should definitely wrap it up. But
yes.
You know, I'm looking at our Twitter account as well, and I'm not saying that Twitter is a tremendous barometer for, you know, for how people feel about things, but 94% of people that have viewed the tweet asking what did they think of night 2, 94% give it a thumbs up.
Yeah.
You know, like that is high praise, you know, for this WrestleMania. You know, usually these things are like so polarizing. Somebody doesn't like something. I mean, obviously, you know, 6% of people didn't like something, you know, they were upset about something, but probably just miserable people. But to get 94% of wrestling fans to agree
on something positive,
and 268 of them. It's not like a small, you know, smattering. It's like 268 people, you know, saying, yeah, I give this a thumbs up. You know, like I've the only time I've ever seen really like 90% like this was 90% thumbs down for this one Raw where Dean Ambrose was getting a tetanus shot in his ass. You know, it was weird. It was so strange. But damn, like that says it all.
Yes.
People all around are feeling it. Not just it's not just in our heads. It's for real.
No, all wrestling fans. Which hey, it's always a good thing.
So,
always a good
Roy,
thing.
I thank you so much. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow night on the Post Raw show.
Why not? I'm free if you're up for it.
All right, I'm definitely doing a Post Raw show. I'm going to try to get Victoria on her birthday to see if she'll do one with me. And she should have been on tonight. I wanted her on tonight, but she was. Our Emmeline is teething something fierce, and she will not go down. This kid is like always just, you know, during the day she sleeps all day, and then not all day because we're not stupid. If she slept all day, then she's not gonna sleep at night. But you know, she goes down so easily for her naps during the day, and then at night it's like go to sleep, and she doesn't do it. So
yeah,
that's our evening.
It's all right. It's kids, right? It's kids.
That's kids. I love them so much. I keep making them. It's partly because I'm so good looking. She can't keep her hands.
Of course, it's the charm of Mr. Mike Tedesco.
Duh, of course. But Roy, I thank you so much. I thank the chat for hanging out with us tonight. I mean, we've had a lively chat all night. We've had a good amount of people watching simultaneously throughout the entire evening. We had Paul Nemer on this show. We were able to pull him out, off the shelf, dust him off, and get him on this broadcast here. Very happy that we had such a great chat, and you know, we had some people that were at WrestleMania in the chat I saw. But it seems like, you know, this is our group, Roy. These are the people that are following us through good times and bad. They're here for us always, and you know, especially on a night like this, you know, when you know it's such a big weekend. WrestleMania is so big. You know, you can take a step back and just say how much we appreciate everybody that watches and And even though we're a little more scattered with our podcast than we used to be because life happens, you still, when we do a show, people tune in and they always show up. So, like Quentin says, we ride or die, Wrestleview. I like that.
There you go. Absolutely.
So I'll see you for an extended WrestleMania. I really feel like the Raw after WrestleMania this year is going to be like an extended WrestleMania. I cannot wait to hear that crowd in the Wells Fargo Center. I can't wait to see what they do, how they book this show. I can't wait for Cody Rhodes to come out as a champion and hear that pop. I can't wait to see what they do with Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest and Seth Rollins and Rhea Ripley and everything. I'm super, super psyched.
It's going to be must watch, must see television.
And definitely check out the recap. If you can't watch it, or watch it with the recap.
Yes. Join in on the fun.
That's it. And join in the conversation tomorrow night, post Raw show. We'll see you there. On that note, I'm Mike Tedesco. That's Roy Nemer. Thanks, everybody.
Take it easy, everybody. Have a good one.